I still can't do anything with that because I don't have another dial. Now this is not fun, getting stumped again. Like, does it count up from one here or down from one here? And we got 1, 3, and L. L's like what, 100 or 1,000 or 500 or something like that, so it definitely wouldn't be a number here. So what could the code to get in be? I certainly don't see anything here. You know what, I'm just going to try running around off camera for a bit and see what I can figure out, because, I mean, you guys don't want to see me stumbling around like an idiot. Back in a second, guys. Hey guys, we're back. So I was rambling around and clicking on everything, and then I realized that there was 2 different click points here. So we're in here. There's something I can interact with. Oh, okay. Okay, so 290404, we got 55 something something, and it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 from the top to the bottom. What the hell could that be? 55 something something? Maybe 4 4. Well, it's a start. It's something we can try. So it's no. All 5s doesn't work. No. 5566 doesn't work. 5588. We're definitely onto something with it, but what are we onto? Like, what could that be? Oops. They just had to spill coffee on it. It was 29th of the 4th, 04. So we're in 2004. We know that much. Diane, what are you writing here? It is 5 5. Maybe 2-1? 2-1 maybe? Can't seem to interact with anything else. Anything here that has a 5-5 on it? No. Okay. Didn't realize we could look down from up here. No. Yeah, this could take a while. Oh! Haha! That was actually a bit easier than I thought. Here we go. Now I can turn. So can I just come back in without doing that? No. But at least I know the code now. Just in case I ever have to leave and come back. Door code 5564. Boom. Let's see, we got some sunglasses here. We got several books. Truth and Old and New. The Rubin Print House from 2001. Some nice pictures, those. Poster from Cornwall. Fetrock Lighthouse. Bum, bum, bum. Bright Spark, a modern smuggling story by Timothy Pike. Wasn't that one of the names of the guys in the first game? Or was that Thomas Pike? I don't know. Chapter 1. With a Little Flair. The treacherous waters had smashed relentlessly against the ragged coastline since the beginning of time. I stood still, gazing out from the land. Salt sea air whiffled through my greying beard, stinging my eyes and adding a staccato undercurrent to my brooding thoughts. Where was she? She should be back by now. Nothing could have gone wrong. She'd done the same run 1,000 times. It had been a clear night, a moderate breeze, no moon, no hint that anyone was aware of our little venture. Where was she? I hate this waiting. It makes my stomach churn. I could feel the acid indigestion rising in my throat. Nothing could have gone wrong. She'd be there, waiting for me as always. I set off down the path. Sandbanks could be seen clearly on the horizon, lit briefly by dazzlingly bright shafts of sunlight piercing through a rapidly greying sky. The dirty grey clouds thickening, presaging the onset of yet another storm. We're used to it. It's part of our world, etched onto our collective souls. Cornishmen have the sea in their blood, and we men of Truerton more than most. We love it, and we hate it all in one go. A paradox, a fact of life. They say we came from the sea. Some of us have never left it. Our lives were intertwined. We would be nothing without it. All these thoughts roiled through my mind as I picked my way towards the Fisherman's Arms. The lager's lousy, but they have a fine selection of local ales. I could do with one right now. And there she was, Meredith Tawney, sitting in the bar chatting unconcernedly with Simon Preeve, the burly barman. Her hair still showed hints of its original red gold, slim and sinewy, bundled in her rust-coloured fisherman's jersey, nerves of steel, the perfect partner in crime. She looked up and caught my eye. "Another storm coming in. You been here long?" I asked nonchalantly. "Just got in. Pint of bitter? She guessed. That'll do nicely, thanks. Shall we sit by the window? Be right over. She turned back to Simon to order the drinks. The room was full of smoke and grizzled fishermen as usual for a Friday afternoon. We'd get some tourists in later. I sat in the window seat and watched her walk towards the table with a pint in each hand. When are you going to make an honest woman of me? She quipped as she handed me the glass. We went through this conversation every now and then, and she knew my lines as well as hers. You only have to ask. What about next week, then? I picked up on my cue. Can't. Got a job on, her standard reply. Over Palpino Way, or Palpero Way? Sly dig from me. Don't be like that. Everything's done, no problems. She came to the point abruptly. You know how I worry. I can't have my favourite redhead detained at Her Majesty's pleasure. Yes, well, we've got no worries there. What with Liz over at the bridge house keeping her, ear to the ground, and Malcolm at the station to keep us clear. None of the locals is going to shop us. It's worked well so far, she wheedled. It's true, we'd got this far without a hint of trouble. Our little venture had started off as a dare, and being so successful it seemed silly to stop, despite the dangers involved. We were providing a local service after all. Besides, it was a chance to thumb our collective Cornish noses at our much despised overlords at Whitehall. We'd had to let a few people in on it, though. It was too big for just the two of us. Liz had been an obvious choice, really. What she didn't know about the goings-on of every man, woman and child as far as Dorchester wasn't worth knowing. Although she could gossip for England, she was icily closed-mouthed when it came to something that involved her. Malcolm, as Meredith's brother, had always managed to worm every secret from her since she'd been a toddler. Just our luck that he was also the smiling face of the local constabulary, with a reputation for honesty that was almost legendary in local circles. His acquiescence was more to do with keeping an eye over his headstrong sister than being averse to making an extra bob or two, which of course, being such a pillar of the community, he would never consider. Yeah, sure, because you can never bribe a police officer. But you can't start something like this in such a small community and keep it under your hat forever. We'd begun to notice little whispers, sidelong glances, and the occasional conspiratorial wink thrown our way. It made me itch. I'm a born worrier. Meredith just laughed it off as usual. What they don't know, they can't grieve over, she'd say, and was adept at sidestepping any questions she wasn't good and ready to answer. Not that anyone had asked outright. That wasn't how it was done round here. They'd skirt around something in a diminishing spiral of innuendo, hush-voiced with expectancy. Of course, I'd blush guiltily and look to her for support as usual. I wonder if we'll find chapters of that book the whole way through. Can't seem to do anything else there, so turn our attention over here. And I guess just walk forward because there's nothing else we can do. We got some Cornish sea stories. A nice little fish. Fucking reading. The Smuggler's Cave. Edward made one last effort to pull himself into the cave. He was sure he had heard voices calling from within. The fisher folk of Trewithen had often spoke of smugglers, pirates, and ghosts, but Edward had never indulged such thoughts as he explored the rocky passages of Fetch Rock, noting the ever-changing behaviour of the island. "Over here," came a whisper. A voice, definitely As's voice. Edward was now convinced that someone was hiding in the caves. "Come out! Come out at once! I only wish to speak with you!" called Edward into the gloom of the natural cave. He had ventured into the dark hollow many times, but found the place irritated his throat with its damp, briny air. There was little wildlife to be observed in such a dank space, so he only ever lingered a moment before climbing back through the small aperture and into the light once more. But today was different. The place seemed inhabited, and sounded like it too. "I have permission to be here, but I suspect that you trespass." There was a laugh from the darkness. The voice was mocking Edward. He could not believe the nerve of the fellow, and chose to find the intruder and cast him off the island. There was just enough light peeping in through the stony opening to see a few feet into the cave. Wet, salty puddles glimmered in the dark. They would normally be alive with crustaceans, small fish and other sea life, but these pools were dank and dead. Edward ventured further, past the pools and toward a man-sized opening to the rear of the cave. He stopped dead. There was another sound, behind him this time. "No, this way," whispered the voice. "I will find you and you will have to explain yourself," stuttered Edward, aware of the tremble in his voice. "It's no use, so you may as well come out." No one answered. Edward was now inside the man-sized opening. It was a tunnel, man-made by the looks of things. Large stone monoliths formed a definite tunnel, which led further into the subterranean world of Fetch Rock. It was too dark to go on. Edward felt utterly foolish standing there in the dark as the voices giggled away. From unseen mouths he turned to leave the cave and abandon his quest, but something caught his eye. A flash, a coloured flash of light seemed to emanate from the walls. "What the devil?" exclaimed Edward as he looked closer at the stonework. The light flared again. This time Edward could see many colours, and there was a sound, like a rushing wind which seemed to drag him closer. There was a pattern to the light, a geometric pattern which defied immediate explanation. "I say, is that you making that light?" called Edward, and this time there was a reply. "Forward, forward, forward," the voice chanted, and Edward was powerless to disobey. There was someone waiting for him at the end of the tunnel. He must find out who, for in the back of his mind Edward knew who it was that was waiting for him. He had known all along. Creepy. We got some Cornish place names as well. Third edition by Richard Callahan. Okay. Truerthan. The War Fan. Farm on a Hill. I don't know if any of those names really mean anything in terms of the game, so we'll just leave it at that for now. Can't look at any of those posters. Got some postcards here, can't look at them, so we're just going to go inside. Actually, going to have a quick look around here. "Sarah, I'm getting rather worried about the shop takings of late. According to the cash register, there is £220 missing today. Holy shit! I don't want to get the sack over this. I've told you before that there is something wrong with this machine. It has a mind of its own. Ben on the 29th of the 4th. Seems to be that's happening a lot. Stuff going on the 24th. To Polly White. Please feel free to explore the whole lighthouse and complex. We have high hopes of your investigation and look forward to reopening the attraction. From the staff. Okay, what's this? Bad Fortune. Dear Miss Riley, I am afraid to inform you that the Restoration Fund is no longer able to finance the updating and improvements on Fetch Rock. This is most disappointing for both you and I, and the audience which has been following the progress during television updates. As you know, the public voted overwhelmingly to save the historic lighthouse from collapsing into the sea, but recent events have made it absolutely impossible to associate the organisation with your project. Some have suggested that Fetch Rock Island has a curse. Absolute rubbish, I know, but it does make interesting articles for the morons who write our tabloid newspapers. Pretty much every newspaper these days is a fucking tabloid newspaper. There was a time when only footballers and breast implants grabbed public attention, but the curse of Fetch Rock has really grabbed the public consciousness and is unwilling to release its filthy grasp. If only you could give me some assurance that the misfortune would end. But none is forthcoming. Yours truly, Hugh Slithering Smythe. Well, they really gave him a fucking horribly evil name, didn't they? Polly White, Greystones, Pluckley, Kent. Dear Sir, Madam, please let me introduce myself. My name is Polly White, and I have some startling news for you. Your lighthouse may well be haunted. Yes, you heard me right. Haunted! Following a recent breakdown, I've been attending regular sessions of hypnosis therapy. This practice involves being put into a restful sleep and allowing the mind to wander back into an unconscious state. It is here, in mental limbo, that many, including myself, have found hidden memories. Often these memories belong to someone else, long since dead, but bubble to the surface when prompted by an expert hypnotist. It was during one such session that I mentioned the name James Wolfe. He was a lighthouse keeper in the last century. My research shows that a man of that name did indeed serve in the Fetrock Lighthouse in 1912. I believe I am James Wolfe reborn. He has a message for me, and could perhaps explain what happened that legendary night. So I propose an investigation. Yep, a ghost hunt. This would be great for your publicity, and would result in much press attention in the Cornwall region and beyond. I am sure many possible tourists in the United States would also be interested in the story, so what are you waiting for? I do not require much in the way of needs, as I am happy to spend the night alone, with only my papers, camera and ghost hunting gadgets for company. I have carried out other ghost hunts in this fashion with mixed results, so just give me a day or night and access to the lighthouse, please. Yours patiently, Polly White. Oh, and we got a bin full of stuff with nothing really that we can do. No, just double checking stuff. So, they had someone in looking over the place anyway. So you've got sunny Scunthorpe. Does not look like fucking Scunthorpe. And Perth, Western Australia. And up here we've got some dates and who's going to be working. So Diane took the time off there and Ben did it instead. Nothing spectacularly amazing there. Still can't look at any of the postcards. We've got the sign. Last entrance to Lighthouse is at 4:30. And ooh, saw some lightning out there. Fetrock Lighthouse Shop and Learning Centre, opened by the Mayor of Trewithen, Lorraine Kennedy, June 11th, 2003. So I guess we'll head in. Just a couple of people who live around these parts. FRL. Random pictures of the place. More pictures of the old Trewithen. Kind of interesting. Is that supposed to be me? Guy with a lantern. So we got... This room was originally the Fetrock boiler room. Yeah, we remember that. Okay, we got an exhibition guide. Earthenware bottle, originally from Trewithen. It arrived at Fetrock in 1912 when it was used to hold vinegar. 2 tin jars, part of the essential utilities of rock-based lighthouse. The smudged fingerprints of Benjamin Parker were located on these jars, proving that he entered the lighthouse in 1912. Okay. The stewing pot. This multi-purpose kitchen item was used on the night of the famous disappearance. The search party found the pot steaming with the contents of an untouched meal. Utility candles. Why were none of the candles lit during the power failure that fateful night? Some have suggested there may have been panic in the time leading up to Parker's assault. Parker's assault? Are they saying I went and killed everybody and then fucked off somewhere? Demarion, why are you going to do me like that? You sent me there and you're... I'm going to prove myself innocent. This eerie wooden statuette was carved by hand by the assistant lightkeeper James Wolfe. It is thought to be a gift for his fiancée Sarah Jane, who resided at Rose Cottage in nearby Trewithen. The journal. This essential item was required on all rock-based lighthouses and was updated by the principal lightkeeper, Oliver Drake. The last entries were ripped from the book. Of course they were. The blower. Affectionate name for the main form of communication inside the lighthouse. Blowing down the mouthpiece produces a high-pitched whistle. Oliver Drake's desk set. This fascinating object casts light onto the official business carried out in the lighthouse. Oliver Drake, celebrated keeper, was a fastidious and organized man, all qualities essential for this line of work. 3 stone blades, a recent find. These Bronze Age tools were found on the island during the construction of the landing station. Our most impressive find to date, this painted tablet dates from around 2090 BC. The artwork has puzzled experts and split the archaeology community. 2 fired earthenware pots discovered in a small cave beneath the island. They originate from around 2090 BC. Replica Bronze Age spear based on our findings here on the island. These exhibits were constructed by local historian and craftsman Daniel Murphy. Lastly, we do hope you had a great visit to Fetch Rock Lighthouse. Feel free to make a donation. Okay.